I was just thinking about the videos that I uploaded a few days ago regarding the child support situation and my relative who had a baby with a deadbeat father. What I was thinking is that she brought that situation on herself because, number one, she's really young, and when a person is young, they have a tendency to make stupid mistakes and to have poor judgment due to lack of understanding about the way that life works, and sometimes being stubborn and not wanting to listen. And she's known to be a stubborn person who doesn't listen to wise advice. She's also known to be reckless at times. She's had a lot of situations, a lot of close calls with car accidents and driving her car around without insurance and other reckless behaviors that I won't get into. So my gut tells me that she didn't really take the time to get to know the father of her baby, because if she did, she could have avoided the situation. I'm not saying that he doesn't carry some responsibility, because obviously it takes both an egg and a sperm in order to have a conception and a pregnancy. He should bear some of the risks and responsibilities of having sex. I put a little bit more of the blame on her because it's her body. The woman is the one who has to deal with the implications of being pregnant. She's the one that has to carry the baby around for 9 months. She's the one that has to deal with any health concerns and risks as a result of being pregnant. She's the one that may not be able to work while she's pregnant and has to deal with morning sickness and a lot of the other unpleasant symptoms of being pregnant. And then she's also the one who runs the risk of having a baby from a deadbeat father and being stuck with the sole responsibility of rearing the child. So that's why I personally feel like the onus is more on the mother, because she has a lot more to lose in terms of her time, lost opportunity cost of being pregnant and having to raise a child as a single mother. In the case of a deadbeat father, the one who really does most of the suffering in the end is the child. People need to really stop and think about what they're doing. You have to weigh the pros and the cons of your actions, because like I said in another video, it comes down to cause and effect. Every action that you take has pros and cons to it, and you have to make sure that whatever you're doing, the pros outweigh the cons. And she didn't properly vet this man before she decided to lay down and have sex with him. Otherwise, she would have known what his values were and where his intentions lie. Now, from that text message that she sent, it's unclear to me whether he told her that he didn't want any children before they engaged in sex, or if he waited until after she announced that she was pregnant to tell her that he didn't want any children. But either way, it was irresponsible for her to have sex with someone that she didn't really know that well. Every person that has sex should have a really frank discussion about how they're going to deal with unexpected pregnancies. What are their expectations? What do they want children? And get to know what your partner's thoughts are regarding children and pregnancy before you lay down and have sex with that person. It's very backwards for someone to have sex first and then they're surprised to find out that the mother doesn't want any children, or the father doesn't want any children, or to find out that the mother doesn't believe in abortion, or the father doesn't believe in abortion and wants the mother to have the baby, but she doesn't want to have the baby. These are things that need to be discussed before people have sex. Another thing that I was thinking is that if welfare and public assistance and housing and all these other government entitlements weren't available to people who find themselves in these types of situations, I guarantee you that the out-of-wedlock pregnancy rate would drop dramatically, because people would think twice about engaging in risky sex. You know, it's really not fair for the taxpayer to have to pay for these types of mistakes, things that could be easily avoided if people were more responsible and used their brains instead of acting impulsive. She's young. This is her first baby. Hopefully she learned from her poor judgment, and hopefully the man who is the deadbeat father learned from his poor judgment, and I hope that she holds him accountable by taking him to court for child support. You know, I really don't know much about him, but if she allows him to get away with not helping her and providing financial support for this child, then who knows, he may go on to get other women pregnant and do the same thing. Say that he doesn't want any children. A man like that doesn't even deserve sex. You know, a lot of times these men, they form relationships with these women and they rush them into sex when they're dealing with a woman who's naive or who has low self-esteem. Sometimes these women think that in order to show the man that they love them, they have to have sex with them. I say that if a man loves you, he'd be willing to wait. If he's not willing to wait, then that means that that's a sign that he only wanted sex from you. I don't care how long it takes for you, a woman to get to know a man, even if it takes 6 months to a year. A woman should never have sex with a man unless she feels completely comfortable, unless she feels that she can completely trust him and she feels completely comfortable with him and safe that he'll do the right thing if she were to become pregnant. As a matter of fact, people are so disingenuous and lacking in integrity that I believe that everyone should make sure that their partner is tested for sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV, hepatitis, syphilis, and gonorrhea. And I would also go as far as say that there should be some type of written and signed agreement or understanding about what's going to happen should the woman become pregnant, and it should be signed and notarized before the act of sex. That way both parties are certain that they're on the same page. In my case, I would never have sex with a man who told me that he didn't want to have children, because that would place most of the burden and the risk of pregnancy on me, and it would relieve him of any responsibilities. I would suggest either that, or just like in court cases, lawyers do depositions of witnesses. Depositions are like a sworn, an attorney will question a witness, and a lot of times the deposition will be videotaped, and the witness swears to answer all questions honestly under oath. And I would suggest a similar situation. You know, it doesn't have to be formally performed by an attorney, but I would ask questions regarding what would happen if I were to become pregnant, and just to make sure that I get everything on evidence on camera that he agreed that he will take care of his child if I were to become pregnant. Abortions are a very serious medical procedure, and I've known a few people to actually die during the process of an abortion. So that's out of the question for me. If a woman does agree to an abortion, her partner will have evidence that she did agree to it if she becomes pregnant and decides later on to change her mind and keep the baby. Then in that case, I think that since she agreed beforehand, that the responsibility of raising the child should be on her solely. But in the inverse case of the man agreeing to financially support and be in the child's life, then it would be hard for him to then later deny any responsibility. That's just a suggestion. Seems kind of way out there, but people need to really do what they have to do in order to protect themselves from people who are dishonest and lacking in integrity. It's kind of sad and unfortunate that we have gotten to the point where we can't trust each other to be honest and open about our thoughts and feelings, and that we can't take each other at our words. I've never heard of anybody else, or I've never heard or read about anybody else using these type of agreements or videotaping what their expectations would be in the case of a pregnancy. But I mean, I'm not even sure if they would be admissible in court as evidence. Perhaps if more people decided to use written and signed agreements or videotaped questionnaires and agreements, then perhaps it would set a precedent in child support cases where people can't agree as to whether the father should be financially responsible for a child. It seems strange, and it probably takes away some of the spontaneity and romance out of the relationship, but I think that it would probably add an extra layer of protection for both parties. It would also be a way of making sure that both parties are on the same page. All right.